Hello there guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me. I am the Rogue Witcher, and on this video we will be undertaking a new series called Character Chronicles, where I will cover a certain TV show or film and week by week deliver a different episode on a different character from said show or film and do a bit of a deep dive, analysis, a few facts about them and my overall opinion. Something just a bit different and a bit individuality, and I thought it might be fun. The first show we're going to cover with Character Chronicles is the Pendragon Cycle, the hit fantasy show that aired just before Christmas, I believe, on Daily Wire Plus. Fantasy piece, talks about Merlin, the sword, all that sort of good stuff. And I thought it would be a great show to cover for the first season of Character Chronicles. Each week, please feel free to let me know in the comment section what characters from that show that you want me to cover. More than happy to take on criticism and advice. Also, if you think that maybe I can add to the way I do Character Chronicles episodes, maybe some advice over what sort of subject matter I could even delve into a bit deeper, please feel free to let me know in the comments section. Right then guys, without further ado, this is the Character Chronicles, Season 1, Episode 1, The Merlin. Merlin Emerus, a character that's been portrayed in many different sort of facets across film, TV and books, and sometimes a bit of an old man with a pointy hat and a white beard like Gandalf, or in this instance is portrayed as a young sort of wizard. Not, they don't really call the word wizard, but a sorcerer and a would-be king, if you will, if he was to claim what was rightfully his. We start off with the family tree. And his royal bloodline is very, very pure because he comes from two different lines of royalty. His grandfather on his father's side was Elfin, who was a king of a small region of within Britain. Unfortunately, he did lose his crown, unfortunately, due to raiders, but still was a king. His father, Taliesin, the greatest bard that ever lived, was the son of a king, aka a prince, and was also going to be the king of Maradunum. So again, another bit of royalty within his family. His grandfather on his mother's side was King Avallac'h of Atlantis, the great ancient powerhouse of the world at one time. Unfortunately, again, is no longer, due to it unfortunately being destroyed by a volcano, as it happens. But he still rules in a part of England as he then fled Atlantis to there. His daughter, his mother, Caris, the princess of Atlantis. His aunt Morgan, again, a princess. So he's born from very noble stock. He's born with quite a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He's the son of the greatest bard that ever lived, Taliesin. He's the son of the great Caris, the savior of Atlantis. So he's born into already a lot of people expecting greatness and sort of demanding it of him, if you will, because he could potentially one day, because Avallac'h has no sons in the show, I think that is different in the books, but in the show he doesn't, he could one day be the ruler of the new kingdom of the Atlanteans, you know, Atlantis, it's not DC. He could be the king of Maradunum because he's the heir, just Taliesin, and apparently that is where he also had a claim. So born straight away into a very demanding world with a name recognition, which is a lot to bear. Powers and abilities. Of course, Merlin is indeed what I would call a wizard, but it's not portrayed that way in the show. He is the son of Taliesin, who was a bard. Now, all bards are druids, but not all druids are bards. Thanks for that information, Jeremy, one of my subscribers, helping me out on the show. The druids from a more of an ancient religion, you know, believe in sacrifice and things like that, and you know, powering to the gods and you know, trying to keep within good faith, you know, with them, so they'll get, you know, good harvests and stuff like that. You know, a bit more with using animal bones and stuff like that for their magic with druid sort of business. I kind of like to think of them as sort of cultist priests, if you will. But Merlin follows the religion of his father, which he left behind that side, and prays the great light, God. So it's very interesting, but his powers come from that side of the druid side, which isn't in light with the great light. So maybe unless we're saying the great light encumbersome, or which I don't know, that's just a theory out there. But he has powers and abilities. He has the power to slow down time, or how he perceives it, as we see in his action sequence after, unfortunately, the loss of his wife. I believe he has the power of healing, because with the Fae people, they asked him to come and look at someone who was dying. Taliesin also showed this with the horse. So he has that ability. We see that he has the ability to manipulate the elements. When he saved Peleus, casting out the water, lifting him from it. When they were approaching one of the kings of Britain, they wanted him to join Aurelius' campaign. He had lightning coming down from the sky. So he has the power of the elements. He has the power of healing. Time. He's a descendant of Atlantis. They live very much longer lives. So he has a lot of powers and abilities that really make him up. So that's what I would call him, a magician. But it's multifaceted, and he's born with it. Obviously, he has to nurture it, and he has Halfdan, who was sort of his father's teacher, Taliesin's teacher, and he nurtures his abilities and teaches him some of the old ways. But you kind of feel as if Merlin just has an innate, almost, not, maybe it is God-given, but he just has a very raw power. I would say more than the others. He obviously is a bard as well. He has that power with the singing to inspire and fulfill people. So he has a lot of abilities, but I just feel he's somehow extremely stronger, because he like I say, he has this bits from the Atlantean bloodline. He has this from Taliesin, and the Druid stuff with Halfdan. So he pulls him from a lot, and it sort of makes him this overall very powerful person. He also has visions, which therefore really plays a part in how he sort of lives his life, because he gets glimpses of here and there, and he has to interpret how he believes that is going to play out, and how that's going to service him, his friends, his family, and of course what the Great Light wants. So again, now he has, you know, the pressure of, you know, sort of seeing people's lives through into the best possible way. Like I say, he was born to a very, very prominent family, and again, things will be expected. He trained with the Fae, so he has that training as well that nurtured his magical abilities. He used the lightning there as a child as well, the water that slowed when Taliesin gave his life force when he came into the world. So there's a lot of power there and a lot of responsibility on one person's shoulders. What I love about it is his emotional strength. Is he has a lot, like I say, born with all this pressure from these great, you know, names across the land. And he has to deal with that, with people also putting pressure on him to live up to being great. And he has to, you know, show decorum and, you know, class, and be, you know, what people think he's going to be, one day a king, do the right thing, can't sort of goof off and not take things seriously. He has a destiny. You know, he might wanted something else for his life, but no, he has to sort of go down the path of what the Great Light wants, and two, what his family expect of him. And he has a lot of that on his shoulders. After his time with the Fae, of course, he falls in love. He has a wife. He's going to have a child. He's doing what he's done everything right. He's going to become the king of Maradunum. You know, he's going to have the wife. He's going to have the kid. Everything's going to plan. He's serving the Great Light. He's serving his people and his family. And of course, disaster struck. And that's when I also loved seeing him let go. You see it on his face, Merlin. In his younger years, yeah, it's a bit more, you know, a bit more relaxed and easygoing. But he just let go all of it, you know, trying to be a great person, trying to follow God, trying to do everything right, and for the right reasons, family, country, all that. And in that moment, he just let out pure rage and anger with other things that he'd also bottled up, of having to do everything the right way in his life, and decimated the people that he held responsible for the murder of his wife and unborn son. And I thought it was a fantastic visual, and I felt for him in that moment, not just because of the loss, but I was happy for him that he finally could just let it out and let go, because carrying all that on your shoulders for years of all the expectation and responsibility and everyone looking to you for answers, it must be very draining. My top three things of Merlin is then afterwards, when he comes back 50 years later. Imagine that, 50 years in exile, and to relive out your mistakes and to go over and over them. And you see it in his manner of his portrayal. Great young actor, Tom Sharp, perfect casting, someone who really encompasses him. He looks, the way he carries himself with his facial emotion, well beyond his years. You'd think he was hundreds of years old. And he has been through a lot. He is old, but for his age and skin, and he obviously doesn't, but great acting, the way he portrays that he has seen a lot, because he has, and it's not easy for a very young actor with his appearance, but he does a brilliant job. But that's what I love about Merlin. He's so stoic. He's very put together. You know, I think he sees that his rage and his outburst was a sin and a mistake, and he regrets that. But I don't think it was. But anyway, that's how he sees it. And going forward, he's very careful on how he doesn't want to overexert his magic. He doesn't want to abuse his power. He doesn't want to be the person people look to lead. He wants to make, you know, in service of the right people like Aurelius, and serve him into being the leader, and others, and his mother Caris, and serving Atlantis and serving everyone else, and doing whatever he can for his friends and family and God, by going down and correcting his mistakes. As the man said, go back the way you came. You see it every now and then when he lets loose a little, like he did when he was saving Peleus, and you could see his anger come out a little, and he told King Custennin, it's the second time you've fallen beyond my blade, there won't be a third. I really like how well put together he is, and how stoic he is going forward, keeping his emotions in check, and that must also be very draining, but he does it, as I say, in service of others. Very unselfish character. My favourite, I think, thing from the whole show, I don't know, it's an action sequence, because again, the slow-mo, but was when he did cut off King Custennin's arm. One, it was just so badass, and two, it was, you could tell, it was almost not even Merlin anymore. He was in a trance of his anger and rage, and as I said, letting all those emotions go that he didn't even realise till afterwards what he had done. And I think it really shows just how far that really it wasn't actually Merlin that did all those terrible things. It was what had overtaken him and allowed himself to be overcome by, that really fueled that. And my favourite thing was the scene with Morgan. He is tested and poked and prodded into displaying his power, and then become vulnerable to being manipulated or coerced or controlled by Morgan. She wants him to act. She turns into Grenada to display and try and, you know, emotionally manipulate him, but he composed himself very well. He knows he can't go and save the country. It's so important that Aurelius, a man, the right man, does it, and that everyone follows behind him. And you know that it's a Britain that saved the country, and it's the right people, and because he knows it will unite the people. If he did it, they'll all unite under him, and that's not the way to go. So he does it very brilliantly. He stays stoic. He still believes in the great light, and he doesn't give in, because he could go and destroy them all very easily, but that's not the point. That's not the way to go about it, okay? Because obviously if they all turn to Merlin every time something's wrong, well then they're not going to be able to stand on their own, and one day Merlin won't be there. So he's serving them by making them stronger. I thought it was brilliant, and just the way he gave it back to Morgan, especially when, again, he had a slight slip again, a bit like he did with King Custennin with his anger with Peleus, a slight slip again, as she was talking about Taliesin, and he goes, well, I don't have a father, and you could see again how he can turn it on. He can let it go if he wants, but it just shows how much control he has to have to not give in to that darkness and that power. Because imagine having that much power. It is a responsibility, knowing you could be the reason for such destruction. So it's a very serious responsibility, and he handles it brilliantly. Overall, I love the character and I love the show, and I really hope we get to see more seasons, because I really want to see the dynamic between him and King Arthur, and how he's going to serve him the sword and the stone, and becoming the king and helping the realm. I really hope we get to see it. It has a lot of potential, great people involved, and yeah, just a fantastic character. Right then guys, that was episode 1 of Character Chronicles, The Merlin from the Pendragon Cycle. If you haven't watched it, please do. You should, over on Daily Wire Plus. Go check it out right now. Thank you for watching. As always, I've been the Rogue Witcher. On the way out, if you can, like the video. It's so important. I know people probably get annoyed by being asked, but for a small channel, every like is so crucial. Every comment is so crucial. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on the video and Merlin as well. So please do leave a comment down below. It enters you within a chance to win a mystery Funko Pop that I will announce once I get to 500 subscribers. And if you want to subscribe and help me to get 500, I would love you to do so. I'm going to let you go. No more waffling from me. Thanks for watching episode 1 of Character Chronicles. Spread the word. Oh, follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook as well. I'm trying to get more people following there as well. Right, I promise, that's it. I'll let you go. I've been the Rogue Witcher. I'll catch you next week for episode 2. We'll be covering Morgan. Adios.